My name is Marpirios. I live, or rather survive, on a forgotten agri-world at the fringes of the Imperium. Once, this land provided abundant food for the regiments of the Astra Militarum. Now, it is nothing more than a wasteland of dust and ice, cursed by stars that dance above us in a cosmic ballet of madness. The seasons are no longer seasons. The year begins with a summer so scorching that even our ancient iron silos warp in the heat. The days stretch endlessly, the sun seeming to hang in the sky for centuries as every drop of moisture evaporates. Then, without warning, winter comes. The temperatures plummet, the winds howl like deranged demons, and the ground cracks, trapping what little crops remain under a thick layer of ice. In my village, there are about 500 souls left, or at least there were. Once we were a small community that helped each other, sharing bread and stories of better days. Now, we are mere shadows, passing each other in silence. We hardly speak anymore. What would be the point? There are no dreams left to share, only despair. A few months ago, I was assigned a new job at the food packaging factory. A blessing, they said. You won't have to break your back in the fields anymore. Your task will be simple, packaging rations for the Imperium. And so here I am, spending my days in a windowless warehouse, illuminated by pale fluorescent lights that seem to drain the color from the world. Every day, pallets filled with gray-silver containers arrive via automated transports. We are not allowed to inspect them too closely. Our job is to package them, seal them with the symbol of the Imperial Aquila, and load them onto transports. Food for the Imperium, they tell us. A noble cause. But something doesn't add up. The rations never have a smell, never a sign of what they contain. The sealed units are cold to the touch, almost too cold, as if they conceal a secret that must never see the light of day. And then, there's the people. Every day, someone disappears. A neighbor, a colleague, a face I only glimpse in the monotony of my routine. At first, I thought they had been transferred, found better work, or were conscripted into the military. But then I realized no one ever returns. The night shift. It was the quietest, the longest, and the most unbearable. There was no one to fill the void with words, not even whispers. Just me and the hum of the machines. That night, something felt different. The lights flickered more than usual, and there was a smell in the air, faint but persistent. Metallic, like iron mixed with something rancid. The smell followed me wherever I went, as if trapped within the factory's corridors. I had to know more. Perhaps it was mere curiosity driving me, or perhaps it was a sense of duty to the village, to those 500 souls who kept disappearing without a trace. I decided to stray from the designated path, ignoring the cameras and the risk of punishment. I entered a corridor I had never seen before. The walls seemed older, worn, stained with dark marks that looked like dried blood. The grinding of gears in full motion deepened into a mechanical growl, and the cold struck me like a blade. At the end of the corridor was a door. Unlike the others, it was heavy, reinforced, etched with runes. I had never seen anything like it. The runes glowed faintly, pulsing like the rhythm of a heartbeat. I pushed the door open, and a blast of icy air hit my face. The sound of machinery became deafening, as if I were stepping into the belly of a beast. And then, I saw it. An enormous room filled with pipes and metal vats. The air was thick with moisture, and the floor was coated in a thin layer of dark, viscous liquid. But what froze the blood in my veins were the bodies. They were no longer bodies, not really. Hanging from hooks that ran along an assembly line, the remains of the villagers were being stripped of their humanity. Flesh and bone ground down, processed, transformed into that gray, odorless substance that filled the rations. My eyes fell upon a familiar face, or what was left of it. It was Gralio, the village miller. His hands, the same hands that had milled grain for decades, now hung lifeless and pale, swaying weakly on the hook. I couldn't breathe. A wave of nausea hit me, but I couldn't move. I couldn't look away. A massive machine roared to life. Blades spun, dark liquid splattered against the walls, and a line of metallic containers moved into position, ready to be filled with what remained. The rumble of chains and rolling mechanisms transformed into whispers, then into voices.
Feed, serve, sacrifice. It is right. It is necessary.
Right? What justice is there in this? They were all we had. They were our village, our family. I stumbled back, tripping over a pipe carrying that viscous liquid. I got back to my feet, my heart pounding in my chest. And then I saw it. A towering figure emerged from the shadows, draped in a crimson robe adorned with indecipherable symbols. It wasn't human, or at least it wasn't anymore. Its skin was pale and glossy, as if sculpted by unnatural hands. Its eyes glowed with a sickly green light, and each step made the ground tremble.
Marpirios, at last you have seen what you needed to know. There is no longer any need to hide the truth.
The truth is that you've turned the people of my village, my friends, my family, into food. Corpse starch, you call it. Feeding the Imperium's regiments, you told us. A noble cause, you said. But this is an abomination. The figure stepped closer, its voice a venomous whisper.
Abomination? Your village exists to serve the Imperium. Their flesh will nourish the warriors who protect billions of lives, a modest price for the greater good. Now tell me, Marpirios, are you ready to join them?
The room seemed to close in around me, the walls pulsing, the hum of the machines becoming unbearable. I was trapped. The figure stopped just a few steps away, its face a grotesque fusion of circuits and lenses that seemed to pierce my soul. It was a biologic technician of the Adeptus Mechanicus, sent to oversee the production. This damned production. Its voice, metallic and cold, echoed in the silence.
Observe, Marpirios. These 500, your neighbors, your village, have made a sublime sacrifice. With their flesh, the Imperium continues to breathe. With their blood, regiments march to glory. They have not died in vain.
It gestured toward the vats, bubbling ominously. The green and red lights on the machinery and walls seemed to pulse in sync with its words.
In the name of the Emperor, I thank them. Their obedience, their duty, allows us to continue the holy war. 500 lives for billions. A logical calculation, don't you think?
I couldn't breathe. A knot of icy dread tightened in my stomach. The tech priest continued, its voice now solemn, almost ceremonial.
There is no shame in this, Marpirios. Your time will come. Your sacrifice will be remembered just as theirs. And after you, many more. For this is the will of the Emperor.
It stepped closer, its breath as cold as the winter winds I knew so well.
Prepare yourself, Marpirios. Tomorrow your name will be etched in binary memory. You will become part of something greater, something purer. And in your death, you will bring life to the Imperium.
His words hit me like a hammer blow. I was already dead. I understood that in that moment. The village was gone, its inhabitants turned into nameless rations, and I would be next. I turned toward the corridor, but there was no escape. Only the oppressive clatter of the factory and the distant sound of metallic footsteps drawing closer, synchronized with my fate. There is no redemption, no hope, only duty. And so I, Marpirios, a humble worker from a forgotten world, will become part of this insatiable machine we call the Imperium. Humanity endures, but at what price? For 500 lives, for 500 sacrifices, the Imperium gives thanks. Every consumed soul is a step forward in the eternal war. Glory to the Emperor. Glory to the sacrifice.